I can't believe you peaked on the last recording. Peaking is when the audio goes to the highest levels.
I did?
I had to lower it, yeah.
Oh my God. What was I saying?
Was the House of M1?
Yeah, maybe. But feel free to, if you've got comic book stuff. I mean, this episode really kind of shut the door on a lot of theories, but
yeah,
still,
it's mainly the white vision is the Vision Quest thing.
Right. Yeah. You can definitely explain that, and we'll get into that.
It's
Does Vision Quest? We'll talk about it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined here with Marissa and Teddy, and we are back to review another episode of WandaVision, Episode 8, previously on. It's a nice little spoiler discussion, so we can get into some theories, some explanations, hopefully. I know Marissa's got some in her head. And Teddy's got some questions for Marissa that hopefully she'll have answers to. But it was a very emotional episode, and I think a lot of people had similar responses to a lot of the moments in this episode, getting the look back on Wanda's past.
Almost cried.
I did cry.
I did cry.
It was 10 a.m.
I was real close to crying.
Tears were coming down.
Cried into my coffee.
When Vision went straight Emily Dickinson in that one scene.
Is
gut punch.
Is Paul Bettany going for an Oscar? Are you able to get Oscars from TV shows?
Oh my God, MCU gets an Oscar.
Imagine it transitions to an Oscar. Like,
this is the one that
do.
gets one. Not any of the other movies.
Are you going to rank this with the other movies? We've been talking about this.
I feel like you have to.
Yeah, I feel like
How
you
can
need the movies for the additional context for this show.
Dude, this show did something I thought nothing would ever be able to do, and that's make me want to rewatch Age of Ultron.
Same. Like, Age of Ultron always comes up in the, oh, you should watch this next. And this, and if I didn't have to go to work, after watching that episode, I would have watched Age of Ultron.
I think definitely. After just getting that look of her gaining her powers from the Mind Stone, such an incredible scene.
Not even, it's enhancing her powers because they've established, that she was magical all along, which radically changes everything that we thought about the Maximoffs.
Yeah, because you can't touch an Infinity Stone without having little something in you, right?
Yes, exactly.
So,
yes, that's the new idea now, that her powers were just dormant, and now they've been awakened by this power.
She just didn't realize it was, what did Agatha say? It was a probability hex that kept the Stark missile from going off?
Right. The basic spells that she didn't even know as an adult, that she was just kind of doing subconsciously, I guess.
I was wondering why Agatha was pressing her about that, because she didn't see her do anything to it, but she kept saying, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? I'm like, what are you talking about? You just watched it.
It's such a great explanation as to why, like, they're not mutants, but they are mutants.
Yeah.
People had theorized about this, too, that maybe the stone kind of just awakened their abilities. I think Ultron maybe even mentioned that their will, or they could withstand the pain, and that's why they were enhanced. But now it's going a little deeper here. But that's an interesting idea, man. And the episode starts with Wanda under being restrained by Agatha. And that was also really interesting, her pointing out all the basic fundamentals of magic, stuff that Wanda doesn't even know. Yeah. I thought that this is pointing towards her having Doctor Strange as a mentor in that movie, kind of teaching her the fundamentals.
I get why Agatha is doing what she's doing, but what a bad play. You could have used Wanda, man. You're ruining your hand, awakening her, like showing her the light, pretty much. It's like, if you would just waited one more episode, Hayward's going to make his move, and you could have turned Wanda with you, and you guys could have, manipulated her mind. But this is a bad move opening her up.
Well, I guess that she's just taking the risk because she wants knowledge of this power. She's all upset that she can create, it took her years to create illusions, and Wanda's just doing it without any training.
Yeah, and that she was, executed, or her coven attempted to execute her for seeking more knowledge of magic, especially because that knowledge was forbidden. Here's Wanda, casually keeping a whole town hostage.
Miles away.
Yeah. And Agatha's just so upset. She's like, I've spent hundreds of years learning how to do this magic, and you're doing it without even thinking about it. Because she also is convinced that Wanda knows what she's doing. Right, and that she's just keeping it a secret. Mm-hmm. So she's like actually surprised when Wanda's like, no, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right, even she becomes a bit sympathetic in some of those. She drops a tear during the Vision scene, right?
Yeah, we were together in that moment.
And that didn't seem like she was faking it. That felt like genuine emotion.
I thought she was.
I feel like it was kind of both.
But like you said, she is convinced that Wanda is just keeping this a secret. And it's kind of an anime trope, even superheroes. I mean, she's the 1 in 1 billion individual who can wield chaos magic and create life out of nothing.
And we get that answer, too, now, of what Vision is. That
Yeah.
it's a figment of her imagination, which is
No, it's
insane
like she
itself.
created him.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's just a
He just can't exist.
like a physical piece of like it's like he's a piece of her soul almost.
I think that he's the same as her children, which makes me wonder if her children could exist outside of the hex. Because we saw Vision start to deteriorate.
Definitely not. I think that's definitely something that they can't do.
Yeah.
We did get that one still for episode 9 where they're teaming up as a family, looking straight like the Incredibles. But what was interesting was when Agatha asks her, "Why did you guys join this terrorist group after losing your parents?" And she says, "We wanted to change the world." And then we see the scene of her gaining or awakening her powers. I wonder if that's hinting at the hex will expand and will change the world. Maybe not major changes, but in order for this new Vision and her new kids to survive, maybe she does literally have to change the world.
I'm still convinced that the destruction of the field around the hex is going to cause mutants to exist in this world. I feel like that's how they're going to do mutants.
feel like
It
it
kind of
makes-
has to, though, because she's making the hex and it's changing everyone, so it changed Monica.
I feel
So
like the
it
fact that
happened
they
already.
harped so much on how much radiation there is contained in the field of the hex and how, like, Monica got her powers from that. Darcy says it changes your molecular structure just by going through it.
I wonder if that's going to tie in with Hayward and White Vision, because he is now created from Wanda's power. If Wanda destroys the hex, explodes the hex, and everybody in the world has a trace of her power in them, and especially the mutants using that power to gain their own powers, does White Vision become like the mutant sentinel who just hunts down mutants in a future property? But I mean, that showdown is going to be, you would imagine it's going to be not bloody, because they don't show blood in Marvel movies, but it's going to be pretty brutal.
You know, speaking of that, I could have used a burn at the stake at that witch scene in the beginning with Agatha.
I was convinced it was like an actual burning at the stake
So
kind
did
of
I.
deal.
I was getting ready for it.
And then I was like, oh, no,
wow.
wait. She's so bad that her coven is burning her at the stake.
Yeah, she just must have been an absolute unit. Like, long division doesn't even exist at the
I
time.
love that she was like,
solving
Mom,
problems.
save me. And then she immediately snaps and her mom is dead. Her whole
I
coven.
respect the-
She's like absorbed their power, right? It seems like that was what was
Yeah.
happening.
Right, and a contrast for Wanda, because Wanda can create life, and Agatha kind of just drains it from you and keeps that power for herself.
Which I think is the type of magic that they're using. Because chaos magic can create life. Like, that is an alter reality. Like, that's the point of it.
So I had your theory too just now with the Sentinel, being that this could be their way of making the Sentinel. But I also have a theory that the Vision in the Hex is the soul of Vision, and his body is now. So I think they're gonna merge to bring Vision back, where his souls can
That's
go
what I
into
hope
Vision body.
is
Me
going
too.
to happen.
Oh, God, I would love that. Because Paul Bettany as the character, they joke about how he's been around since the first Iron Man, but he is just so good.
Bro, after this,
as
you
this
can't get
character.
him out of here. You got to keep him. You cannot get him out.
And like you said, especially after the scenes that he shares with Wanda in this episode. I mean, the chemistry was always there from the movies, but now that they're filling in some of those dots, getting that extra scene.
We're seeing what we finally wanted to see in the Avengers, like
Right,
their
we're seeing why
relationship.
they fell in love.
Yeah.
Where that's kind of just skipped over in the movies. But like I said, they have good chemistry, but now we're seeing why they leaned on each other so much. So I think you have to find a way to keep Vision in the MCU. And I think I'd be happy for Wanda to have a happy ending, especially after everything she's gone through. Even in just this episode, you know,
100%.
when she opens up the blueprint and it says for us to grow old in.
And it's the heart. And at the very first episode, there's that heart on the calendar.
Oh, dude, that is some fucking
Yeah.
talk about tying it together.
I
Oh
hate
my
Hayward.
God. Hayward's
hate
the
him.
worst.
Well, that was very interesting too, because we all believe that she stole his body to rescue him. But very much she was ready to move on. I mean, obviously she wants to bury him. She wants that closure. Hayward's not going to give it to her. And she's like, okay, yeah, I can't feel him anymore. He seems dead to me. This is very upsetting, and I'm just
let's
going
get it
to
on.
drive away.
Yeah.
Apparently she got her license. Yeah, no, Hayward's just a motherfucker, man.
I'm so happy Monica was always on her side, being Hayward's adversary, I guess. That she knew all along that it relies on Wanda. Like, she created this, so she has to end it.
Right, it's a little cliche. It's
Yeah.
the acting director who is reaching beyond his limits, and the one subordinate saying, hey, you know, you're going too far. She's not the real villain. But it's a neat twist on it with the way that it's presented through Wanda's trauma, that he was trying to manipulate her. That's why he shows her the body, right?
Yeah, he's
Like,
hoping.
let me see if she can turn him on.
Yeah, literally. He says that. He outright says that, right? You're the one who has the power to literally turn the switch back on.
Yeah, he mentioned something about soulmates or something like that.
He's like, let's go see him. And he's fucking all spread out, his head on the fucking table. Like,
Very disturbing.
Yeah. It was even more, especially because his eyes were all whited out, which is like the classic Vision in the comics. His eyes are kind of whited out like that.
Right. He looks dead. And when she tries, I mean, the callback to Infinity War, that I can't feel you. Ooh. Yeah. That hurt too.
Yeah.
When Hayward said $4 billion, did you guys immediately think, how much money does Stark have to make Vision? $4 billion, and he still has everything.
Well, Ultron steals that vibranium from Ulysses Claw. Remember that?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it's like $4 billion worth of vibranium. So it's nice. Well, you would think with inflation that's gone up, right?
Yeah. How long ago was that? Like 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's about 6 years. That's got to be $7-8 billion.
Well, who knows?
I kind of respected that. I get it.
Wakanda's opened itself up, so who knows?
Right, that is true. Maybe the price has gone down. Yeah, I did respect that too, where Wanda's just like.
I get it.
She was very fine with it. She's like, yeah, you know what? That does make sense. We can't just bury $4 billion. But it's that closure that she was.
Well,
that's what she wanted.
If she would have gotten that closure, you never get the hex. You don't get this imaginary, because she just couldn't let go. And you see that it's the powers that be that are pushing her to not let go.
You can also tell, like, when she got snapped back, she was expecting Vision's body to still be there.
Right,
Even though, because she doesn't know 5 years have passed. No. And she doesn't know that they would have taken his body, like, immediately after.
So here's the thing. So she went to Westview and it happened. Agatha, I wonder, was Agatha there and it happened? Or did she end up coming in after?
Agatha sensed it and, like, wormed her way in.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I don't think she was there at the start. Because she says that she sensed the power, and so she wanted to see what was going on. And it was, like, unlike anything she'd ever sensed before.
Right, and she was expecting that Wanda would eventually break character and give her more information as to how this was happening.
Yeah, because she thought everything was intentional, and that Wanda is wielding an incredible amount of power, but Agatha assumed that she was doing it on purpose, everything was calculated, and that she was just trying to, like, hide the fact that she knew. And then eventually Agatha realizes that, no, Wanda really doesn't necessarily have a full idea of what's going on. It kind of just happened.
So I'm assuming Herb was just being played by Wanda, right? By Agatha, right?
Yeah, sorry about your boy Herb. You really wanted him to be someone.
I really wanted him to be something. I did.
Yeah, it's when you go back and you trace her actions throughout the episodes, I think that's episode 3.
Wow, trying to turn Vision against her?
Yeah, she's the one who plants the seed of doubt in the beginning.
Right, yeah. They're whispering about Monica Rambeau. Yeah. She's not from here, she's from out of town. So that's why all of
and then she gets tossed.
When a show is relying on its mystery and then they pull back the curtains fully, usually that can be a bit disappointing when you get all the answers. But just you pointing out that the heart on the calendar and the heart on the blueprints, they make you want to go back and pick up on all of these clues. Mm-hmm. It warrants a rewatch.
They warned
just because of how well they tie it together.
They warned you to watch closely and pay attention. Like, everything we're doing is calculated for a reason.
Right.
Pay attention, and this is going to get called back.
And it's funny because Wanda's powers, where everyone wanted some other dark force in the shadows manipulating her, or that there'd be a bit more layers to it. But like we said, this is Wanda's story. So her kind of just giving birth to this world in this kind of, I don't even know what to call that. That's some straight high fantasy shit. Just another person being split from another person, and now it's all black and white. And she fully embraces the role. Like, it's like she's lost in her own mind control as soon as it happens.
Yeah, it's like, it's exactly her fantasy. It's everything she's wanted. Vision is alive.
Her only memory of her
gives
parents.
into it. Maybe, honestly, it takes for the first few, because I remember watching the first episode, and when what's the boss's name? I forget.
Oh, I don't remember.
Love?
The boss.
Wait, Love. That's
Hart.
Hart.
Mr. Hart.
Mr. Hart. When he starts asking too many questions and it's like and it's freaking her out and the actual camera changes, like, you can tell it's because she hasn't thought that much through. Like, it's taken so much just to create the world that they're in. She's not going to be like, oh, how did we meet? Blah, blah, blah. Which is why, like, everything kind of, like, breaks down for a second.
Right.
But where is everyone, though, from the first episode? Like, where's Dottie? Like, where are all these people? Everything just changes to the
They showed them in the town. When she's driving around, they showed all the town people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they show her.
Which
they
interesting
show the
that
mailman.
Westview is so like broken down, right?
I thought it was an empty town, and she made all this life. At first, when she was driving in, I was
like
like,
they
oh,
all
never seen
seem so
everybody.
sad. It was very
Yeah.
like gray.
But that's what she was
Before
saying.
she turned it black and white.
But she said it though. She's like, I'm giving everyone, like, I'm making everyone happy. It looked like everyone was like living crappy lives before she showed up, and it was like she thought she was doing good, helping everyone.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
I wonder if that's like a commentary on the blip that
Yeah.
society is still rebuilding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they
that's what
all
I thought
kinda got
too.
this escape.
It was like the blip. It's like you can see the havoc it wreaked on like this tiny town.
That's why I love Infinity War, man. Because even though they bring everyone back and
There are
Thanos won.
consequences.
Yeah, there's major consequences, man. Without Thanos, you don't get WandaVision. So, what did you guys think about some of those flashbacks? I know that was a big, not pet peeve, but a big question of yours. Why the sitcoms?
yeah, it was emotional. You felt why Wanda was doing all this. We got the answer. It's because that's what her family went through. That was probably only her happy time she had up until she met Vision, was the sitcoms and her family and her brother. And I thought it was a cliche, yes, but it's something we needed to know.
Right, and it is Marvel's first TV series, and the main character's main coping mechanism is TV. It's sitcoms, everything that they were paying homage to throughout. You know, I Love Lucy, Bewitched, her and Vision watching Malcolm in the Middle, but just going back to her family, you know, that's the escape. You escape into this little world for 30 minutes, and obviously Wanda wanted to push it out to 10 seasons. But yeah, no,
In 20 towns.
You understand, and I think that's very relatable to people who love movies, love TV.
Use TV to escape their reality.
Yeah, to escape their trauma. I do want to point out that somebody reviewed this episode and called it Big Trauma's House.
I love that.
But that I can't not think of you when Agatha's like, so much trauma. That came out of nowhere when they got bombed like that.
Oh yeah.
Give
And
me
the
a mini heart
classic
attack.
Stark Industries missile.
Right.
But that got, so correct me if I'm wrong, that got sent there without Stark's knowledge, right? That happened? Like someone was, what's his face was taking Stark's...
I think that's stolen technology.
Yeah.
It was either stolen or like.
But they ain't gonna know that.
I mean, like
Yeah,
the whole
I
thing
know.
of Iron Man 1 is that he realized that
He realized that they're using the weapons for mass destruction.
He
safety.
he was selling weapons, but it wasn't until he got kidnapped in the desert and was like, oh, this is evil.
now that's happening to me.
And now
what's
that
going
is
on.
happening to me, I have empathy.
Yeah. Hey, at least he got it.
Yeah, and it just goes. It's a good commentary, not a good commentary, but it is commentary on how foreign wars and inspire people to become radicalized. They just don't, they're kind of just ignorant to the outside world. All they see is a giant missile that just murdered their families and says Stark Industries. So you have some smooth-talking radicalists that are undercover Hydra saying, "Oh, you want revenge on these people? You want to change the world?" It's like, okay, yeah, I could see how that's appealing to someone who's lost everything. I mean, she doesn't look like she's having a good time inside that
cell?
facility. That's
No.
that's the one place she didn't want to go back to. I mean, all of these moments hurt her, but that's the one where she says, I can't go back there. But she does, and we see how that was.
I love the silhouette of the classic like comic book Scarlet Witch.
Oh,
That was
the
beautiful.
I love that.
The visuals in this episode were phenomenal. That was a great scene to watch, dude.
That is one of maybe the best shot of the series right there. And the
That
silhouette with the costume. Ooh.
That tops the Monica transition.
Seriously. These might be my two favorite moments for superheroes getting their powers in the MCU. But yeah, it was just such an incredible, it was an inspirational moment. One of the darkest periods in her life, and it turns out to be, what put her on this path of becoming the Scarlet Witch, becoming a hero. Just even thinking back to Ultron when she steps out for the first time after getting that speech from Hawkeye. It just makes me want to go back and watch all the Wanda scenes after this scene. Are we missing any of the flashbacks? I mean, we saw the Wanda and Vision. We touched on it a bit, but the writing there was just incredible.
Yeah, I never. That was like those two wanted to prove something in that scene. That was so emotional.
I cried, like legitimately.
I was on the verge of crying. I'm at work watching it, and I'm like, oh, yeesh. Pull
You
together.
see why they're the perfect pairing when Vision talks about how he's basically like 3 weeks old at this point. Like, he doesn't know attachment. He's trying to fit in. He's like looking over at her. Is that funny? That's funny, right? It was cute.
And then he finally laughs on his own.
Yeah, and then he laughs on his own. And
Right, because in the movies, what we get it's like he's created in Age of Ultron, but they don't really interact in Age of Ultron as like friendly in any kind of friendly capacity.
But that's why the relationship made no sense up until now.
And
It's
then
like,
in
how?
Civil War, we see that they're like in the compound together, but then they end up on different sides in Civil War, right?
Yes.
And then
Yeah, because Vision's riding with
and then
Tony.
suddenly in Infinity War,
They're like in where are they? What, England or something?
they're like, yeah, they're taking their little vacation,
Yeah, they're banging.
and
in
we're just like,
Scotland.
and we're all like,
Off the grid.
with
You're like,
the-
wait a minute.
yeah, and it's like,
When did all this happen?
there's the comic book precedence for it, and that people knew to expect it to some degree, but like movie wise, like suddenly it's like Wanda won't kill Vision, and in that, I remember in Infinity War, people were like, I would have killed Vision.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it's like-
I still think to this day, like,
Without the added context of WandaVision,
right,
I would
right.
not, like, at the time I was like, I know that they're together. I don't feel bad though that Vision's dead. And now
Yeah.
I feel bad that Vision's dead and that she had to be the one to kill him.
And especially from the perspective of the other characters, seeing Vision in WandaVision, you realize he is a person. He is a person to these people. He matters just as much as the other Avengers.
Mhm.
And the way that he matters to Wanda, like you said, in the moment, not getting that development, you feel, just kill him off.
Yeah,
to
that was
begin
one
with.
of that was one of the issues I had with Infinity War, is that like so much of it hinged on us not wanting to Vision. So much of it hinged on us not wanting Vision to die.
Right.
But like most people wanted him to die. They would have sacrificed him.
So it makes Infinity War a better movie, because that scene of Wanda holding back Thanos and killing Vision is now, watching that, it's just gonna put you in a pretzel.
Torture.
Especially
How do you
when
do that?
when Vision says, "You can never hurt me. All I feel is you."
Ooh, got the chills.
Yeah.
Just thinking of it, everything with these two characters.
Like
in
I'm
these
gonna
two
rewatch
movies.
these movies and I'm gonna feel so much like at the end of Infinity War was already sad, just in general.
Yeah.
Like I remember saying it was very empty. Like
Yes.
you can tell like it's desolate. Like half the world has been snapped. For the first time they didn't like win. There have been consequences before, like with Sokovia, but like
Thor almost drank himself to death. You kidding? The God of Thunder.
And even going back to the shot of Vision saving Wanda in Age of Ultron is going to be a shot that you look back on and think, there they are, the two lovebirds. It's such a he's holding her in her arms, he's flying away after she just murdered her father-in-law by ripping out his heart. Weird family tree there. Your father-in-law murdered your brother.
So,
Very strange.
what do you guys think? Did they put to rest X-Men coming into universe now, or like at this point? Because Evan Peters just looked like Pietro, yeah. It just looked like she knew that Aaron Taylor Johnson's body is dead across the world and holes in it. So she brought back Evan Peters. So did she just put to rest X-Men coming into the universe at this point?
She
Or not?
mentioned the way that she did it, right? It wasn't, Wanda says resurrection, she says no. It's like some sort of spell,
Yeah.
a crystal that she used.
it could
But
be.
Or
I
did
feel
she
like
make-
there's still got to be an explanation there that we're not getting.
Yeah.
Like they have to go further with that. I think there's a good chance that he gets snapped out of it, and he kind of goes off on his own.
It does make that scene though where he's like interrogating Wanda about the hex. He was a bot. Like he was literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, I thought it was Hayward.
So do you think it is Evan Peters Quicksilver, or do you think it's going to end up just being some?
I want it to be. I think I will be a little disappointed if it was just they were using the face as like shock value,
yeah.
and that it ends
what I
up
thought they
being
were doing from the
nothing.
beginning.
And it was like a. And
yeah, if
there,
it's a throwaway that they never go back to.
like if it's in the world of the MCU, it's just like, oh, she took a random face and it looks enough like Pietro that Wanda's like, oh, it's Pietro.
But he's got the powers too. Is she that powerful enough to give him super speed?
I don't know. I don't even know if maybe being inside of the hex has maybe amplified her a bit. The way that they used Wanda's magic for the White Vision and the end credit scene. I don't
Right.
know.
So I think they're gonna bring X-Men. It's just not gonna be through WandaVision. I think Evan Peters gonna get snapped out of it and then go on his own way, and then maybe a couple of movies we'll see where he went or what he's doing.
Maybe
And that's
Doctor
when X-Men
Strange,
come
right?
in.
The multiverse of madness. Maybe
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is going to do something. I feel like the fact that they used Evan Peters Quicksilver has to mean something
Yeah.
with the multiverse. If it doesn't, then it's just they did that because audiences would know that they did that because audiences would know that
Just to
there are
make us
two
think
different
and
Quicksilvers.
theories and make us talk. Yeah, it worked.
I mean, it worked, yeah. But I'd be disappointed if nothing comes of it.
I would be disappointed too. And it's a lot on their plate integrating the X-Men this late in the game
Yeah.
when you're already 20-something movies in. How do you explain it? And that's why I mentioned with WandaVision, it is a show about Wanda. So for them to pull double duty, if they can pull it off, that would be very impressive. But maybe, like I mentioned, maybe we don't get the answer here and we get it down the road where Quicksilver still exists.
I don't mind if we don't get the answer in WandaVision, because I think that's a really big thing to like have it be done with at the end of WandaVision. Like, oh, the X-Men mutants are back, and it happened in this MCU TV show that if you don't have Disney Plus, you would have never seen.
Right.
But there's like...
It would make you want to get Disney Plus to watch WandaVision.
I mean, yeah, that's what they want, right?
Yeah.
But I ultimately hope that there's at least some kind of like bigger thing with Evan Peters that
connects.
There's
to the
some
X-Men.
kind of like, even if it's just a hint that maybe not, like Agatha isn't everything there is about him. Like she didn't create him solely for this, or like she maybe bit off more than she can chew by pulling Evan Peters into this universe.
Right.
Even if there's just like a hint of that. Because then they would give them the opening to bring in the rest of the X-Men.
Well, the big talk has been who's going to be the cameo. And now the theory going around is that Paul Bettany has hyped up the cameo for himself.
I would absolutely love that.
It's an actor he's never worked with, right?
Bro, he's amazing if that's it. He's phenomenal.
That would be an epic troll job. Although, so at the end of the episode, Agatha has those kids being choked out by a thread. All they have to do is step backwards. I said this on the other
Bro, bothering me. Seeing that gap bothering me. Quicken. Were you kidding me?
Quicken.
It's like,
is that his name? Is it Quicken?
Wicken.
No, not
Speed and Wicken.
Speed. But it's Quicken.
I mean, they are like a week old, so.
I mean, it is like Aaron
dumb.
Taylor Johnson having super speed and still getting shot.
Yeah, that's a bad one. You didn't see that coming. Just move the bullets, guy.
That's why she brought back Evan Peters specifically. He could dodge some bullets.
He won't get shot up in an alley like
Here's
a bomb.
So here's my question for you, Marissa. Is this season out of a comic book?
I mean, they've pulled a lot of elements from it. They've been pulling the House of M storyline with the like general delusion that Wanda has, and White Vision is specifically from the West Coast Avengers, which you could literally Google this. It's on like every single page has something about the Vision Quest storyline now.
Mm-hmm.
But Vision Quest is from West Coast Avengers, and in that, Vision is taken apart. That panel I was talking about is from that storyline. You see Vision taken apart on the table, similar to how we did in this episode. And the thing in the comic is that he's put back together. He's the White Vision because he's like, shouldn't I look more like a Vision? Blah, blah, blah. It's also like that was the original creator of the Vision, as we know him, wanted him to be white, but Stan Lee was like, no. So they made him red and green. At least I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm not remembering that wrong.
Stan Lee for the win again.
Yeah.
Manny said that the White Vision looked a lot like Silver Surfer, so I wondered, maybe at the time they were like, oh, we don't want him to look like Silver Surfer, which could make sense. It could
looked
also
like it
be
right there.
Could also be a completely different reason. But in that storyline, he comes back. He's put back together. He's less human than before, and in the comic, the reason for it is that his brain patterns were based off of Wonder Man, I want to say. And Wonder Man's like, no, you're not getting another copy of my brain patterns to put in this android. He was like, I didn't even want this to happen the first time. So Vision is essentially much more robot-like, and he's like emotionless, and he's turned into a weapon.
That's not good.
That's why
it's also this storyline is also the one where it's revealed that Wanda's kids are shards of Mephisto's soul. So something's happening to the kids.
The way that Marvel goes through the effort to pull from these comics and find a way to just touch on all of these stories, but staying true to their story that they're telling,
bro, for
amazes
real.
me. And it's just what obviously we've had the MCU for 10 plus years now, but it's why comic book movies always sucked, because they didn't embrace the roots.
Now they're finally doing it, man.
Right, and
you're seeing the fruits of the labor of it now.
It's not 100%. Like, they're not going to adapt the Vision Quest, but we'll take a piece from that because it makes sense for our story, where Vision ends up. That's what everyone pointed to when he died in Infinity War. It was the Vision Quest comic. Like, that's the next step for this character. So I would like to see them stretch that out.
Yeah, I just hope that, because the thing with Vision in the comics is that he's constantly getting destroyed, put back together, used as a weapon, possessed, used as the weapon. So I hope it's not a thing that they do like a bunch of times.
Right.
But the once can really hit.
Yes, definitely.
But especially in the context of WandaVision, in that imagine what Wanda's gonna do when she sees this actual corpse of Vision, doesn't remember who she is and is trying to kill her and her new family.
What made me ask that question because
It's like she's finally moving on with and it's just her past trauma in the form of a white
it's
out.
not going to stop.
Yeah, white out corpse.
What made me ask that question is because that last scene, if you close your eyes and look at Agatha in her true form, it literally looks like it's out of a comic book.
Oh,
When
yeah.
she's flying and she's
Yeah,
holding
it
the
was
kids.
so comic booky.
That was the
Yeah.
most, like she's
so
full
dope.
full on in the witch costume.
Her hair's everywhere.
It's not like, because a lot Marvel in the movies likes to do the whole like we're alluding to their comic book counterpart. This time they were like, nah.
Hell no.
The only difference is that Catherine Hahn isn't 1,000 years old or 600 years old, however old Agatha is. Because Agatha is like an old lady in the comics.
Yeah, I saw
Yes.
pictures of her. She does look like old white hair.
I would love to see
Holding a
Scarlet
cat.
Witch and Vision put on their Halloween costumes to fight. I think that would be so cool. Like, if you're going to fight a battle, you need a costume. And it's just them old school, makeshift, looking like the Incredibles. Uncle Pietro comes in to help. Monica Rambeau. That's the thing. They might have to just throw some heat at this guy.
I feel like
You
the
know?
fact that they brought in actual magic into this universe, because before
Right.
everything was the result of a stone. Like no one was really truly magical.
Yeah, right.
Even Doctor Strange, to some degree, was powered by a stone,
Right.
sort of.
Well, my problem
Tony
with
Stark
Doctor
made his
Strange.
powers.
Wait, remind me again. Doctor Strange straight up magic, or was there some kind of like?
It's mind
No,
power.
he
He's able
learned
to.
spells.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the actual first
Yes.
introduction of magic, right? Okay. So I mean, magic in a way that's not Doctor Strange.
But even Doctor Strange's magic is that there's not a set of ground rules. Like when she was mentioning the fundamentals of magic, that's the shit I like. Like in anime, I feel like they do a better job of establishing a power system and a power scaling. With the MCU and comics, it's usually just all over the place. I mean, even with them explaining Wanda's powers, they get away with it by saying she's just the prophecy fulfilled. She's the Scarlet Witch, which was awesome, actually, when she said it.
It was.
It
now-
was awesome.
Chaos magic.
But now we're getting some rules here, the fundamentals of the magic in the MCU, and I would
Yeah.
like to see them
I just
elaborate
I
on
always
that.
think the issue with that is not that I think it's necessarily a problem right now, but I don't want them to like over explain the magic. It's like, with the time travel, they tried too much to explain it and now everyone was thinking about it and like how they were able to do that in the first place. And it's like, well, obviously this is a movie about superheroes traveling back in time to get some magic stones.
Right.
We can't apply logic to this.
No.
But you're right in that having like the
But they
fact that
kinda did.
Agatha is referencing, it's the fact that Agatha is clearly working from a knowledge base that she understands and has spent centuries studying. And the fact that Wanda does not have that same knowledge base, but she's way more powerful. Like that, now we understand that there are some rules. But like, it's sort of like Avatar, like the last Airbender rules, like we understand how bending works to some degree.
Yes.
And it gives them room to like do stuff like blood bending or metal bending, but it's not like this is exactly what you need to do in order to do this.
Right, that's what I want more of out of the MCU. I think Avatar actually does a good job of balancing that, where there are rules, but they're not so important. The MCU is like, there are just no rules. Even with Doctor Strange, it was like he learned 3 tricks. Like he learned the sling ring, and he reads a bunch of books, and he does the time travel, and that's really hit. And the cape. Or the cloak.
Cape's nice though.
Yeah, that cloak is fucking fresh.
He's
man.
silky.
That's my most anticipated MCU property.
Me too.
Just because of the development that they've given Wanda, I can't wait to see where she ends up. And it just makes so much sense that Doctor Strange would be the next person to kind of just take her on as a possible pupil. And, maybe they throw down a bit.
Do you think?
I'd like to see a magical battle between those two.
Do you guys think Agatha's gonna be out of here after episode 9?
I'm hoping that Agatha, like in the comics, will teach Wanda, even though here it's made pretty clear that she doesn't think chaos magic is real. Chaos magic is supposed to be a myth.
Yeah, she was very.
But in the
much shocked when
comics,
she found
she
out.
does teach Wanda how to use that magic. So I'm hoping she will be her teacher in some capacity, and that maybe they just got off on the wrong foot.
No, well, listen, I agree with that because I think what Hayward's about to do is gonna
Make them
fucking
team
piss
up.
her off, man, and it's gonna.
Because that's what I want. Because it's not like in the comics, Agatha's necessarily like a hero, but she is the one who teaches Wanda magic.
That is true. I didn't even factor that in. That Vision's just coming for everyone.
Yeah, dude. Like
It's not like he's not.
Hayward's
gonna
making
not
a bad
attack.
move, bro.
Or even if Agatha, in the interest of learning more about what Wanda can do with magic.
Right,
It
like
doesn't
I'm
make
gonna help
sense.
you, but I'm helping myself.
But I don't get I don't get why he's doing this. He knows exactly what Wanda's capable of. Like, why are you trying to do this to her? Why are you trying to destroy her?
He's playing his hand.
Yeah,
It's just what happened.
He wants the vision technology,
At this
and
part,
Wanda's an issue for him at this point.
Yeah, he's
so.
just too far in. I mean, he's spent all these years trying to bring this guy back online.
Yeah, and you just use her power. Like, imagine what else
But
you can do with her power.
that's also his jurisdiction.
Yeah.
That's what he's hired to do.
I guess
to
he has
monitor.
to take care of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's a good guy, man. You know it too. You know what she's done. I mean, yeah, she messed up a little bit with this.
That
but
man was working that propaganda.
he was, bro.
Yeah. Monica and Darcy and Jimmy Woo weren't having it.
I want to know what they're up to. Where they are.
They're with
There's-
Reed Richards.
Are they?
No, wait.
Are we getting that answer?
Darcy's in the Hex. I'm starting to think that's not happening.
I think that was just fan theory.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a bit too much for them to. If they were gonna throw in the X-Men, I felt like the Fantastic Four was a bit too much on top of it in this MCU show.
You take over WandaVision if you do all that. You do.
Yeah, I'm almost glad that they didn't, because especially.
But watch like on Friday, Fantastic Four.
It's John David Washington as Reed fucking Richards.
Imagine Ultron comes back. I saw a bunch of theories that they think it's going to be James Spader as Ultron.
Dude, that's such a missed opportunity of him not showing up as like the father-in-law.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my dad's coming to town. Wanda?
Imagine Agatha brought back him
no.
instead of Pietro.
And it's just fucking James Spader. That would have been perfect. So if you guys had to say, do you think that Agatha makes it out of this season and continues on?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I hope she's a character that shows up in Doctor Strange too. I mean, I keep referencing that movie, but throw all the magical boys in that.
I think Feige's just recently toying around with a season 2 or saying that they might do it. I mean, how can you not, man?
Well, I've always been frustrated with the way that they just discard their villains. I mean, I think Ultron is the worst offense because he was just so cool. The character looked so great, and you could have just. I hope he's still out there. That's a character I really hope they bring back as a villain. But Catherine Hahn, I just want to see more of her as this character because the way that both Elizabeth Olsen and Catherine Hahn, the way they've adapted to every era.
Catherine Hahn's not a breakout.
Yeah. Well, I feel like she is in this for me.
Hopefully she breaks out. Next, she's the lead in the new Star Wars.
Sparky though, you should know what that slide.
We're recording in here, sir.
You can't, can you? She
But
killed
the way they've adapted to every era and their performances throughout every single episode, they just brought their A games.
Yep.
So that would be an interesting relationship and dynamic to continue in further properties.
And so different if you make Wanda a villain. That's risky.
Right, yeah.
And
If she's still kind
mess
of
with it.
treading that line.
Yep.
That's what she does in the comics. There are points where Wanda is outright a villain, and then they retcon it so that, oh no, she wasn't a villain actually. But
Marvel with the comics with the retcons just in general. All right, guys, thank you for listening to this review of WandaVision Episode 8. Previously on, we will be back next week for the finale, unfortunately. But all good things must come to an end, right?
I guess.
And then we're going to have our grief persevering as love throughout the off-season.
What a line.
That was a hell of a line, man. And for Marissa and Teddy, I'm Beau. See you guys next week. Hopefully Marissa comes back.
I want to know where Paul Bettany pulled that from.
Spreading fake news on the timeline.
oh, like you don't constantly ask me the day before.
Maybe once or twice, but
You ask me the day before and then you cancel.
that's true. Well, would you look at that? It's finally over. Hey guys, Beau Oliver here for one final send-off. Now, before I beg you guys to like and share this video, I'd like to thank our very special Patreon pledgers. We are very proud of the community we've been able to build here at NerdSoup, and it would not have been possible without our Patreon supporters. You guys are the true MVPs of this channel. Everything I've said, you keep the fridge full, you keep the lights on. There aren't enough words to thank you guys, but we'll do it anyway. Thank you. And we have a few videos coming up that have been suggested to us by Patreon pledgers. My Hero Academia, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Full Metal Alchemist will be reviewed by Marissa, and yours truly, and Castlevania, which will be reviewed by Marissa and Aaron. And if you'd like to consider donating to our Patreon page, you can visit patreon.com/nerdsoup and check out some of the rewards we offer to our listeners. And really, we'd like to thank everyone who takes the time out of their day to watch our videos. Patreon pledger or not, your support is what keeps us motivated to keep giving the world our opinions on movies and TV shows and video games and pop culture, even though no one asked for it. We're still here, we're still yapping, and we hope you continue to join us. I'm Beau Oliver, and I support this message.